Everybody, in this episode, myself and Ben, we're getting into an interesting conversation based off of an email that Ben received. One of our listeners struggles with emotional eating. She's struggling on where to start in her journey of just overall health and wellness. It has nothing to do with drug addiction, but has everything to do with how you can take small steps and the things that you can implement to better your overall health. We get into eating, walking, emotional eating, how to help with sugar cravings, the importance of water, and so much more. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
What's happening, everyone?
First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use, and thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. We'd like to help you turn your mess into your message, right, Ben?
The messier, the better.
Also, go to realrecoverytalk.com, and there you'll see a little thing that says schedule call. If you'd like to schedule a quick, brief consultation call with one of us, you can do that right there, and we'll see about your situation and if we can help in any way. And also go to realrecoverytalk.com/reconnect. realrecoverytalk.com/reconnect, and that will it'll put you on a landing page to join our Family Reconnect program. And basically, we're walking you through steps that you can take to better help yourself, so you could better help your loved one. And right now, so we can get enough people to run a group, we're offering a promo code, PILOT50. If you go to realrecoverytalk.com/reconnect and join, use the code PILOT50, and that's going to give you 50% off the membership. And as soon as we get 15 people, we're cutting it off. And we have the whole curriculum, everything built out. We're just waiting for 15 people to join. So if you want to get in on this before the prices go up, again, it's realrecoverytalk.com/reconnect. Use promo code PILOT50 to get 50% off your monthly membership. Okay, what's up, Ben?
What's happening, Tom?
Not a whole lot. How are you?
I'm a little tired today.
Yeah, I could see that. A little tired.
I came out of the gate strong this morning, got up early naturally before the alarm went off, and about 1 o'clock rolled around. I just,
Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night to my dogs whimpering and everything. So it turns out they ate a whole rotisserie chicken yesterday.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The bones and all?
I don't know.
That's really bad.
I got home. They're fine. I got home, and Amanda had gone to Costco and got some things, and one of those was a rotisserie chicken, and they ate it. So, yeah.
I thought if dogs ate chicken bones, that was like they break off in their stomach or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, listen, I've had plenty of dogs in my day, and it's not good for them. But you just have to, you have to monitor them. But they had to go to the bathroom all night, which I can understand why. Yeah. And they also, at one point, the Hershey nuggets that you get at Costco? We have them here at the office.
Yes.
They ate a whole bag of those.
Last night?
No, not last night. This was probably
like dinner and dessert.
6 months ago or more. Yeah, they took them out of the pantry. And,
that's bad for dogs. Isn't chocolate poisonous to dogs?
Yes.
Tom, what is going on?
It is,
there?
in fact. Now, here's what the vet said. Interesting. Hershey's chocolate nuggets is very, very minimal actual real chocolate. It's everything else. Now, if they got into an actual real like cocoa, maybe dark chocolate bar that you would get at Whole Foods or something, then it can be an issue.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was freaking out. I thought, oh my God, that my dogs are going to die. But they said that, just because they asked, what did they eat? And I told them, and they're like, oh, it's Hershey's. It's not even really real chocolate. And I'm like,
Bro, our listeners are going to call DPS on you.
DPS. What's
Dog
that?
Protective Services.
Is that a thing?
No, I made that up.
Oh, okay. So anyways, Ben had a topic that he wanted to bring up today, and I think it's a really good topic. I love this topic. It's a fantastic topic. It's one of the greatest topics in the world.
You did not.
That was a little Trump impression. I'm getting better at my Trump impression.
Are you?
Yeah. And funny thing is you as a listener don't know if I'm making fun of him or if I like Trump. You have no idea. And you'll never know because we don't bring politics into Real Recovery Talk.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So I knew you would love this topic. This is right up your alley, I feel like. So I had been posting, obviously, on Instagram. Tom's like, you got to post more on Instagram, Ben.
And if you don't follow us on Instagram, go to Real Recovery Talk Tom and Real Recovery Talk Ben.
That's right. Get a peek into our lives, personal lives, and some addiction recovery stuff too, and some miscellaneous sprinkled in there.
Yeah, Ben posts a lot about the food that he's eating.
Not too much.
Yeah, that's true.
A little bit. I used to do more. All right, I digress. Getting off topic. Anyway, as a result, I got a message, and I would like to just read it out loud. So I've been watching your journey with working out, and I've also been listening to parts of your podcast. I'm just very curious as to how you got the determination and drive to get healthy. I've been trying and struggle very hard, especially when something happens. I'm very much an emotional eater. I'm reaching out because I was just wondering if you can offer me any advice on how to get there also. I struggle with my own demons, not drugs or alcohol, just other stuff that has turned my life upside down. Sorry to lay this on you, but again, I see your journey and I am inspired. Can I start this one, Tom?
Sure, Ben.
All righty, unless you had an idea.
No.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to start with this because the part that says in there, not drugs and alcohol. So for our listeners that maybe are in addiction, are in recovery, whatever the case may be, the irony behind this whole thing, the parallel here, is that when people get help for drug and alcohol addiction, the drugs and alcohol, we're not teaching you how to quit doing drugs and alcohol. What we're actually doing is teaching you how to live life without it. So essentially, they say the drugs and alcohol is a symptom of everything else underlying. Merely, it's honestly a solution to the internal and external problems we may be having in life. Like if I'm struggling internally, externally, I do some heroin, I take a drink, I do a line of coke, smoke some meth, I feel better. So it's not even about that. It's about, we have these feelings and then we find a way to get outside of ourselves. And, we've always said, and I hear people in recovery say this literally all the time, they should teach 12 steps in grade school. The world would be a better place if they did. Again, it's not about the drugs and alcohol, but I wanted to touch on this message. And I'll start off by saying this. What do you want to spend your time doing? Do you want to make time for your health, or do you want to have to make the time when you get sick?
Yeah, with a lot of people that we follow and stuff, that's, you see that a lot. Either you make time for your health now or it's going to make time for you later. And that's true. At some point in time, the gig's up, and hopefully you aren't to a point where it's infixable, irreversible. And I think we touched on this in the episode that we did with Jimbo. Remember, he recently lost 103 pounds and is continuing to lose weight. And, he did that because he got diagnosed with diabetes and
cancer.
And cancer, and so I think that it's very important that we make, in this whole recovery journey, and listen to the person that sent this, you don't struggle with drugs and alcohol, but it, like Ben, what you were saying, it's has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. It's what are you using to cope with said feeling, said emotion, whatever the case is. Insert here. I think the very first thing somebody needs to do is really determine, well, what's my why? Like, what is it that I'm looking to achieve? And then let's peel the layers of the onion back from there. And, in this episode, we're going to give some tangible things like takeaways that you can do and implement relatively easily. But I think if you are struggling with, say, emotional eating or whatever the case is, and it sounds like this person is, getting a therapist is going to be extremely valuable to help kind of hone in, okay, why am I eating, when I'm eating, and the amounts that I'm eating, what am I feeling, so on and so forth. And these tangible things you can just kind of incorporate simultaneously.
Here's the other thing I want to touch on briefly too, going back to the make time for your health or make time for when you're sick. The other thing though is if you stay healthy, let's call it what it is. People are going to get sick. Accidents are going to happen. Like, how quickly are you going to bounce back because you're healthy? For us, we're not young anymore. We're 40 years old. Like, when I get sick, man, I'm out. It takes me longer to recoup. I feel I drag for like another couple weeks. I think on a personal level, I don't think we mentioned it, dude, but first day of high school, Weston broke his arm playing football. Went to football practice, snapped his forearm in half. We had to get him surgery on Tuesday of last week. But he's young. He got a couple plates in his arm. He's going to bounce back. The doctor's like, 6 to 8 weeks, he'll be fine. Back to playing football. But yeah, I don't know if it's prevention or just getting ready for the day that you get sick too.
Yeah, I think it's both, really. I mean, hopefully you haven't positioned yourself, like I said, to where you're dependent on, some sort of medication or insulin or whatever the case is. But I mean, let's get into the tangibles. In full transparency, this is something that I, to this day, struggle with. I have emotional eating. I struggle with it. It's not something that is like I have the answer to, because it's a journey for me as well. What are you smirking at?
Because I'm sitting here thinking how you're saying you're struggling with it. And at the same time, you got to tell them. So Tom and Adam from Mind Pump are texting back and forth last night telling me I've taken it too far.
No, I said that. So I'm glad you said that.
Give the context, because I didn't explain it very good.
Yeah, so Adam from Mind Pump and myself, we were texting last night, and I invited him on the show. Mm-hmm. And long story short, we were just kind of kicking around some things that we could talk about. And one of the things that I brought up was, well, we could talk about how when people come off drugs and alcohol and get involved in fitness, sometimes they can take that to an extreme and, it can become not good for them. And he texted me back and he was like, I could speak on that for hours. Normally they become competitors. And then I texted him back and I said, that's Ben, LOL. He decided to switch addictions 12 years later, because about 2 years ago is really when you undertook this bodybuilding, whatever you call it, extravaganza. But in the context, in the last text, I said, the good thing is with Ben, though, he has his head on straight and he can turn it off and on whenever he needs to. I don't even know where we were going with that.
I forget too, but we were starting to touch on the tangibles.
Oh, here. No, I know where I was going. So you have, between myself and Ben, you have two opposite ends of the spectrum here. You have Ben that really doesn't, like, let's just call it what it is. If you know what you have to eat and you're going to eat it, and you're not going to veer off of that. You give me a meal plan or whatever the case is, and I've tested this theory more times than I care to admit, I'm not going to follow it to the T, because I have an emotional pull to certain foods. I eat a lot of times based off of emotion, stress levels, stuff like that. So, but I think between Ben and myself, we have a good gauge of like, what's the, we talk about the 80-20 rule. I would say I'm probably 70-30. You're like 90-10. So, I think we have credibility in what we're saying.
Yeah, I'd like to, we went out a little out of order from the whiteboard of knowledge here with the bullets, but since we started talking about food, And in particular, this mentions the emotional eating. From your perspective, I know what I would kind of say. The 80-20, I'm really glad you brought that up, because we don't have to do this thing perfectly to be healthy. Like, we got to live a little bit too, right? And give ourselves some grace. Like, how would you suggest to somebody tangibly to start eating healthier? Because to call it what it is, man, Tom does, he rags on himself, but he actually does eat pretty healthy. Like, he comes in here, he brings some meals in here, like that's rice and beef, and, but then he has his other stuff sprinkled in too, which is fine.
Yeah, it's, again, if we're being transparent, during the day for me isn't tough. It's when I get home. In the evening hours, is when things really get ugly for me. But hang out till the end of the episode, and I'll let you know on a little hack that I came across that I think is going to be a game changer for me. But to get back, what were you going to say?
I kind of want to hear the hack now, because I have something I want to say about that too.
At the end?
No, yeah, the hack. You got a hack for nighttime eating?
Yeah, people are going to have to wait till the end of the episode to hear it, including you.
Man.
Yeah. Don't worry, Ben. We're going to be here till the end together.
Here would be my suggestion for like the 80-20. And one thing I want to point out is, like for Tom, he just identified the problem time. During the day, he's fine. It's at night. So what are we going to do at night to make this better? I think it's really important to evaluate it in that way, especially if you're an emotional eater. Like, is there a certain point in the day, or is this all day? It's probably not all day, unless it's like an absolute, overeating addiction and a little more to it than that, which they have treatment for these days too. So I think it depends on where we're at on the scale there. But one of my suggestions, again, like, start with the tangibles. And we met with and podcasted, I forget what episode, I just posted it on my Instagram again, with Chris Powell from Extreme Weight Loss, a TV show. He had a 2-year opioid addiction, so we had the opportunity to interview him, and he was talking about small goals. And one of the people that he was with made the goal of, so I love eating pizza. I eat pizza all the time. I'm never going to eat pizza alone. The only time that this person allowed themselves to eat pizza was when they were with people. Something basic. So my suggestion was going to be along the lines of, if you want to start eating better, again, don't start off going something that you're not going to be able to follow through with. My suggestion to people a lot of times is, hey, why don't you prep yourself 2 meals for the day? Just 2. Whether, some rice and chicken or turkey or whatever it is. Something that's big enough. It's a larger volume of food because it's not empty calories. And make sure you eat those 2 meals every day, right? Tom, you could do that at night. Prep yourself a meal in the morning and say, I'm going to eat this meal at night before I dive into this other stuff, that sleeve of Oreos. Because then if you're full, you ever sat down at I did this to myself 2 weeks ago on my cheat meal. I went to Okeechobee Steakhouse, and by the time it came time for dessert, I was so full I didn't even want dessert. But I ate the steak, the potato, so it's 2 meals a day.
I have a special pocket in my stomach that's strictly for dessert. Dr. T just walked in. Hello, Doc.
Dr. T, what's that pocket called? What's the scientific term?
That's the dessert pocket. All right. There's a lot to that with the evening time for me. Obviously, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's episode 376, by the way.
It is.
Yeah, with Chris Powell.
That's right.
Go check that out. Episode 376, and it's on YouTube as well. So if you want to see our ugly mugs, you can go there. The prepping the 2 meals a day, I think, is a good kind of, hack, I suppose. But
then it can turn to 3 later. Get that down. Then up your goal.
It could, but I think, what we didn't determine in the very beginning is, again, what is your end goal? What's the end result? Is it to lose weight? Is it to gain weight? Is it to maintain weight? Is it to build muscle? Is it to lose fat? So on and so forth. And There's a lot of people that are a lot more well-versed in speaking on this. Obviously, Mind Pump is one of them, but there's another person too that, if you don't follow, go and follow Jordan Syatt. He has the Jordan Syatt podcast, phenomenal. And he went to school for behavioral psychology, and he's a power lifter. He's lifted 4 times his body weight in deadlift, but he has what's called the inner circle. And his kind of niche is helping people beat their emotional eating and stuff like that. So make sure you go check him out.
How do you spell that? Because I've never heard of him.
Jordan, how you would normally spell that, Jordan, Syatt, Syatt. And I'll put the links in the show notes. He's got like 1 million subscribers on Instagram. He's been on Mind Pump a few times, but he speaks to this very well. But again, if we're looking at overarching like health and where to start, of course, prepping your meals is going to be a good place to start. But I want to take that a little bit deeper in prioritizing protein. A lot of times,
I meant to say that. I'm glad you thought about that.
A lot of times when people struggle with overeating, it's because they are under. A lot of times what happens is people undereat throughout the day and then gorge at nighttime. And protein in and of itself is the most satiating in terms of the macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat.
Fills you up the fastest is what that means.
Yeah, it's gonna fill you up the fastest. You're gonna maintain your full feeling longer, and it builds muscle. Like, we need protein. It's an essential macronutrient. So if you could prioritize protein in some fashion, in other words, if you prep these 2 meals, make sure, 4 or 5 ounces of chicken, ground turkey, lean steak, fish, whatever the case is, eat that first.
Mm-hmm.
Eat it first, and then get into your rice and your vegetables or sweet potato, whatever, avocado, whatever. And you'll be able to eat those things. It's just, if you're going to prioritize anything, prioritize the protein first and foremost.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is absolutely key. People fall short on their protein intake. Everybody does. Everybody.
Yeah.
You have to be very intentional about it. And if you struggle with overeating, again, the reason I suggested to prep those meals is so that those 2 meals, you're filling yourself up, and it's not all day. It's something that's probably attainable for most people. It fills some spots in the day, so you have less trouble spots in the day. But then also, prioritizing your protein. If you order a steak with fries, eat the steak first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense, because you're getting your protein in, and if you do order a steak, chances are, if you get a steak at a restaurant, it's going to have a lot of fat in it. Unless you're ordering like a filet mignon. But if you're getting a New York strip or a ribeye, those have a lot of fat in them.
I don't know how good of an example this is, because, there's I guess it depends on how you do your burger up. But, man, I got friends that I'll go out to eat with. We'll get a burger and fries. They eat all the fries first and then leave like half their burger because they're full from the fries. And they missed half of that protein right there. Something like that. You just ate a bunch of empty calories, deep fried food. Now you don't have room for the part that's actually going to have the nutrients, the protein, all the above.
Sometimes the majority of times I won't even order fries. I'll just get 2 burgers. Yeah.
I feel you there. Me too.
Because if you really look at it, you go to any fast food restaurant, say McDonald's or whatever, or any restaurant, they give you a huge portion of French fries, and you compare the calories on that portion of French fries versus the calories in whatever burger it is that you're about to eat. They're going to be relatively close, probably within 50 or 100 calories one way or the other. Now, the difference is going to be the burger is going to be a lot higher in protein, and, it's going to be better for you, all things created equal. I think that's the much better route. Like, if I go to Five Guys, I don't even get their fries because they give you enough fries for a family of 12.
Bro, I love their fries though, dude.
So I'll order 2 burgers from there, because if I'm going to suck down 1,000 or 1,200 calories, at least I'm going to get 80 grams of protein in that meal.
I usually get a burger and a hot dog if I don't get the fries with it.
I've never had their hot dogs.
Their hot dogs are good, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like me a good hot dog.
Let me throw this in there too, since we're talking about little hacks, if you will. Emotional eating. Let's say Tom's standing in the pantry at night. Before you go into that pantry, drink a large glass of water first. Yeah. Tell yourself, I'm going to let myself in the pantry, but I'm going to slam a 16-ounce glass of water first. Then go at it, because you are likely to eat a little less. You know, just the little things like that. Very attainable. Start somewhere. Make little rules for yourself that are very easy to follow that you can do. Go from there. Start seeing some results. I wanted to move on to some exercise type stuff.
Yeah.
So let's start simple. I want to talk about walking. I am extremely guilty of underrating walking, and it's so funny because actually Mind Pump just did an episode on this like a week or two ago, and I was like, oh, I got to listen to that one because this was me. Like, I want to know what they have to say about it. And they literally all basically told my story on walking. Like, in my mind, if you're not running, you're not doing enough. In reality, for me, and it was actually my bodybuilding journey that turned me on to this, in my 12 weeks of prep, you know, Billy, my coach, started telling me, you know, first we start at 5,000 steps a day, and everybody has an iPhone nowadays or an Apple Watch or whatever the case, something that can track steps. Just keep your phone in your pocket. You know, it's 5,000 steps a day, then it up to 8, then it was 10, then 12. Towards the end, 15,000 steps a day, which 15,000 is a lot. But walking, I didn't think was effective until I actually started doing it as a routine on a daily basis, because it was a goal that I had to hit. And body fat started dropping off of me. And I was really taken back, because I was always somebody that prior to bodybuilding, I'd go for a run, like 3-mile runs, like 2 or 3 times a week. And in my mind, because of the exertion of energy and effort, I thought it was better, so to speak. And maybe it's better overall for cardiovascular health. Like, you're going to be, I don't know, more elite, if you will. But walking for burning body fat, in my opinion now, because my opinions change, is the best.
It's the lowest barrier of entry. And a lot of people adopt that same mentality that you had, that, oh, unless I'm sweating profusely and out of breath and can't even hold a conversation, then that's not real cardio.
Here's the other thing about it. The funny thing is, I hate running.
Yeah, I
hate running. However, I actually started to enjoy the walks, because if I was short on my steps, I'd go for a walk in the neighborhood. If I was by myself, I'd put my headphones in, listen to some music, and just kind of zone out, meditate, and walk, look at the trees and the birds. If I'm not by myself, you know, I'm with my significant other walking and talking, and it was good time to catch up. Like, make that a family thing.
Yeah. And there's so many more benefits to walking other than just the quote unquote fat loss. There's tons of studies to back all the evidence that with insulin regulation, blood pressure, you know, all sorts of things, that walking in and of itself is super underrated. And again, Jordan Syatt, he has a whole segment on his YouTube channel about how he lowered his blood pressure. And one of the things that he did was he incorporated zone 2 cardio into his daily routine. Now, zone 2 cardio is, so in the realm of cardio, you have zone 1 to zone 5, zone 5 being your typical, like, I don't know, you're about to roll out dead, like, basically. Zone 2 is I'm doing enough cardio to where my heart's beating like at a relatively high rate, but you and I are still able to have a conversation. And that's a good gauge of knowing when you're in zone 2 cardio. And for most people, that could be going outside, walking at a relatively brisk pace. You're going to be doing zone 2 cardio. Do that 3-4 times a day, preferably post meal. So you eat breakfast, go for a 10-minute walk. You eat lunch, go for a 10-minute walk. Do these things throughout the day. Not only are you going to drop weight, but you're also going to help regulate your insulin levels. Your blood pressure is probably going to drop. The mental aspect it's going to help you with, so there's definitely a lot of things that walking is highly underrated.
Definitely. And let's transition to the next part too. I mean, I'm a bodybuilder. Tom done powerlifting and CrossFit. I don't want to come off across like, strength training, weightlifting has to be extreme either. Kind of like the walking thing. If I'm talking to the general public, I know most people aren't into bodybuilding like I am. But I would say if you had to start, first of all, I'll say this, because the whole thing here was how do you find the determination and drive to get healthy? There's a saying that the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. I've learned no matter how I'm feeling, if I have to get a 5 a.m. workout, if it's after work and I'm dragging, if I just get myself to the front door of that gym and get in there, once I do my first warm-up set, I'm generally going. Your body wakes up. It's getting past that barrier of, okay, I got here. Now I just got to get through this first set. Literally everything changes after the first set. It's wild. It's like a switch flips. So I would go as far to say, start off twice a week. If you're doing the walking and you set a goal there, hey, I'm going to do 8,000 steps a day. Check my little Apple Watch as a start. Do some form of strength training twice a week. Set yourself a half hour. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like people that, again, like I really just want to hit home the point of people that go all in on fad diets and this new exercise stuff, that they get injured, they don't stick to it. How do we ease into this? It's like the recovery process. I wish you a slow recovery. The reason we say that is the slower that you start attaining everything back in your life, the more likely you are to hang on to it. This is the exact same approach. Start off slow with something that's attainable, reasonable, get used to that, and then add to it. Don't just go all in. I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week. No, you're going to hate it. You're going to be sore. You're not going to be getting enough rest. You're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to get injured.
Yeah, well, did you say you won't sustain it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's most people, especially people, and if you're listening to this podcast, either you're an addict or an alcoholic yourself, or you know somebody that is. It's an all or nothing mentality. So I'm not going to do anything unless I do it full bore. Mm-hmm. Go into the gym. A lot of times people will adopt this mentality of more is more. If I want to lose more weight, I have to work out more and yada, yada. And it's actually counterproductive. Now you induce overtraining and all these things, and you're just not going to stick to it. 2 days a week is going to be fine for the average person. Now, if you get to the point where you want to do a bodybuilding competition, well, then obviously that's going to require different, that's going to have different requirements, but that's for probably the 0.01% of the population. For the average person, it's, hey, let's just get out, get moving. And, they say half the battle is getting to the gym. Once you're there, you're there. It's easy, and just start basic stuff. And this is one of the things that I think, CrossFit and Orange Theory and F45 and Hard Exercise Works, although I don't necessarily subscribe to their modality of training anymore. I think that they do a very good job at having like the community aspect of it. And, it can be a good introduction to getting somebody to work out, because now you're with a group of people, you have an instructor, you're doing it together, you build friends, you build relationships with people. But outside of that, when you get comfortable with the whole working out thing, then branch out and, do something different.
I want to tie that into all our recovery concepts too. You just said community, right? One of the suggestions when people get sober, we tell them to get a home group. One of the reasons we tell them to get a home group, say my home group's Friday night at 8:30 p.m. at the Easy Does It Club. I'm there every Friday, 8:30, no matter what. By being there that one time a week at that specific time, no matter what, the people that attend that meeting also, they get to know me, familiar faces. If I stop showing up on Fridays, they're like, where are you at, Ben? It's the same kind of thing. So I was just talking to, there's a big group of ladies that go down to the pool where I live. And I was asking them how they all knew each other, because they all live different places and they're all drive and hang out at the pool together. They've become really close friends. And at first, because the one lady that introduced me to everybody, she's 13 years in recovery and also works in treatment. But I was like, oh, I'm assuming all of you are in recovery and you must know each other from meetings or something. They were like, no, we all go to this gym in Boca together called Tribe, and it's a group workout. And these are, normal people that they're not going to get into bodybuilding, things along those lines, but they show up for these classes. And they were telling me, just having some sidebars, it's like, they love the working out part now, but they're like, no, I just go there because that's what I do now. My people are there. These are my friends. They're showing up for that community aspect and working out meanwhile. And then they're also talking about like how they're working on their deadlifts and stuff. And, most people don't go in the gym and say, oh, I want to start deadlifting. That's like one of the last things they think about. Like they like jumping on the leg curl and leg extension machine, maybe some leg press, some basic stuff. But as a result of the community part, all the other weight training stuff has advanced. Yeah. Because you're in a community, because you feel supported. And what I want to say about that, like going back to the 2 times a week thing, when I was a personal trainer, where I had a lot of success with people is people would tell me, I'd have a client sit down and say, hey, can we just meet for one session and then when we get together, we'll schedule the next one? And I always told them no. I said, you're going to fail that way. What we're going to do is we're going to set up these 3 days a week or whatever we came to quantity-wise, 2, 3 times, 4 times a week, whatever package they bought, and say we're going to do these times every single week. That way things don't come up. You schedule everything else around that and don't schedule your workout. Because I would say most people have the determination and drive to make it to work on time, right? Make the gym the same thing. Make your walking the same thing. Where you're like, I got to be there and I got to be on time on these nights. Like it's a class. Like it's school. You can't miss. Schedule everything else around that during your week.
Yeah.
Have some boundaries for yourself. Tell your friends. They want to go out to dinner that night, be like, oh, I have my 6 p.m. group workout at Tribe Gym down there in Boca. I can go after that.
Right. Yeah, well, it's respecting yourself enough to prioritize what's important. It's what it boils down to, I think. And if your health and wellness is important to you, then you'll make time for it. If it's not important to you, it'll make time for you down the road.
One of the things that jumped out to me, too, and I meant to mention this a second ago, I think it was pertaining to the emotional eating part, when, and in quotes, when something happens. Again, like part of setting yourself a schedule and these goals, when something happens, don't let it affect what that set schedule that you have is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more likely, oh my God, something happened. I was going to go to the gym, but I didn't have a specific time scheduled, so I'm just not going to go.
Right.
But if I have it scheduled 5 p.m. on Thursdays, I'm going to the gym right after work, and something happens, I'm less likely to be like, oh, I can skip. I'll be like, oh, you know what? If that something happens isn't a true emergency, I can probably still go to the gym, get my workout done, and handle whatever it is. Like, very few things today can come up that, like, truly keep me out of the gym. Weston going to the hospital the other day kept me out of the gym. And for me, it has to be something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. You ready for my hack?
Yeah, I forgot the hack was coming.
Ninja Creamy.
Oh, jeez.
Haha. I picked me up a Ninja Creamy at Costco, and let me tell you, game changer. So I'm one that likes to dabble in sweets every now and again, every now and again, like nightly, this is, I think, going to really help me.
So explain it, because I will say this. I have not tried the Ninja Creamy, but people that I very, very, very much trust in the fitness space, one of them being my coach, Billy. Chris Powell actually did a reel on the Ninja Creamy. Did you know that?
Yep.
Oh, so you saw it? Is that where you got the idea?
No, I've been seeing the Creamy for a while. It's really kind of gotten popular over the last year, I would say. I've seen numerous people using it, but I was just, walking through Costco one day, and it was there. And I'm like, okay.
So what do you put in it? Explain this to me, because I haven't tried it.
Okay, so 2 nights ago, so you have to prep whatever you want to eat today. I have to prep last night. Okay. So let's just use yesterday. I had ice cream last night, and this ice cream consisted of 1 cup of Fairlife 2% milk, half of a cup or 113 grams of low-fat cottage cheese, 1 scoop of vanilla whey protein, 1 teaspoon of vanilla jello pudding mix. You got that? Only 4 ingredients: cottage cheese, milk, protein powder, jello pudding mix. Okay. I put it because the cottage cheese is in there, I put it in a Ninja Bullet real quick and just blended it together for 10 seconds. Put it in the little container that comes with the Ninja Creamy. Put it in the freezer. That's it. It's in the freezer. It freezes overnight. I get home last night. I don't even know what time it was. What day is today?
Tuesday.
Today Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got home last night probably around 7:30. First thing I do is I pull it out and I set it on the counter. It thaws out for maybe 5 minutes, and you put it in the Ninja Creamy. And just there's a button on there that says ice cream. And you hit ice cream, and it basically it has like it has a blade at the top, and what it does, like a drill press, it like drill presses through the frozen stuff, but at a super high velocity. I mean, it's pretty high tech. And so then it's done. It takes 4 minutes. I pull it out, and it's literally ice cream. And then what I do is I put a little hole in the middle of it, and I put Magic Spoon fruity cereal in there, like a half of a cup, and I put it back in the Creamy, and there's a button that you hit respin, and it mixes all the cereal inside of it without like pulverizing it, because it's just mixing it in. And
so you could put like chocolate chips in there.
You could put chocolate chips in it. You could put whatever cereal you want in there. It adds the crunch, adds a little bit. Oh, and I did half of a banana. So it was like a vanilla banana fruity, dude, unfreaking believable. So I have one tonight. It's already frozen. Just 1 bottle of Fairlife. They got the protein drinks, chocolate protein drink. It's got 26 grams of protein. And then I added a scoop of chocolate whey protein, and I just threw that in the freezer. So we're going to see how that turns out.
Are you just randomly mixing stuff, or you find these recipes somewhere?
No, the one from 2 days ago I found, and this one for tonight I just
winging it.
I mean, it's chocolate milk and chocolate protein. It can't be bad. you know?
Oh.
But there's so many different recipes that you can use for that. So it has a sorbet setting, a gelato setting, ice cream setting, milkshake setting, a light ice cream setting. So I'm telling you, dude, the best $200 you'll ever spend. But you're on a meal plan, so you're not allowed to eat any of that stuff.
Yeah. I like my plan.
Your plan sucks. It doesn't allow for nothing. That's what I'm saying. Two opposite ends of the spectrum. Don't take it personal.
I don't take it personal.
Yeah, you're disciplined. All right, so that was my hack, and then only two other tiny little bitty hacks. If you struggle with sweets, one thing that you can do is when you have a craving, get a little finger tip of toothpaste, put in your mouth. Oftentimes that'll take away the craving. Or a cough drop.
Why?
I don't know. I have no idea, but it works.
I guess, my mind went with the toothpaste thing. Like anytime you drink or eat something after toothpaste, it doesn't taste good.
No, I think that there's some artificial sweetener in there and stuff. And I mean, it works probably 20% of the time.
I could just see you like, a little bit of toothpaste wasn't enough, and Tom's eating a tube.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So,
what kind of toothpaste?
I'm a Crest scope with a scope in it.
Oh, I was thinking you were a kid's bubble gum.
Ew, no, that's gross. My kids use that. What do you use?
Crest.
You're like
scope, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's the best one. I was on a Polydent for a while. For some reason, I don't know why, but yeah, it's not good anymore. Do you ever use Arm & Hammer toothpaste?
It tastes like baking soda.
Yikes!
But I think the baking soda in there like scratches your teeth, and that's what like cleans it, right?
I guess
it's like abrasive.
Yeah,
it's like one of them sponges. It's Chore Boy for your teeth.
There you go. Yeah, is that it, Ben?
Do you know what Chore Boy's for, Tom?
Yeah, crack pipes.
All right, just checking.
Got it. All right, that is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.